What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Nick, and today we are talking about the Netflix series Dahmer, the monster Dahmer. I don't know how many of these Jeffrey Dahmer movies, TV shows, documentaries they gonna keep making of him and Ted Bundy, and it literally never ends. You know what I'm saying? But I think that this was a bit different, and we're gonna jump right into it. So hear me out. First of all, let's give a big round of applause for Evan Peters and Niecy Nash. Man, they acted their faces off. Glenda Cleveland, I see you. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to you, because she tried to stop it so many times. She tried to stop it so many times. But Evan Peters, man, that guy, he was more Jeffrey Dahmer than Jeffrey Dahmer was Jeffrey Dahmer. I know he mentioned about being scared to play that character. Like, it had to be scary, because we have to understand that this is not you playing a superhero. This is not you playing Michael Myers, you know what I'm saying, fictional character. This is an actual serial killer that killed people in his grandmother's house. Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy when I found that out a long time ago. I heard about that on the news. Just getting into this whole series, it was an amazing thing. Ryan Murphy and Ian Brennan, I believe. Those are the same guys who did Glee. They did American Horror Story. They couldn't have picked a better person to play Jeffrey Dahmer. He had to really get in tune with that character. And this did a very, very good job at highlighting Glenda Cleveland, the perspective from the neighbors and their outlook on Jeffrey Dahmer, Jeffrey Dahmer's upbringing, and kind of what got him in this zone. Even though, like I said, again, we heard about this through so many things, but there was a different perspective of it, and the victims. It kind of took you a little bit further into detail. This felt more real, and this felt more personal. Like, I feel like I get why maybe the victims' families would be so upset about this, because you revisiting this again. I have no room to talk, so my condolences to the entire families. But there's so many of these out there. They did a good job with highlighting the things that happened when it came to the murders and the way that they were murdered. And as I was watching this series, I was pulling up each victim, and I was reading exactly if it was the same, because there was he murdered 17, and there's probably more that we might not even know about. The thing that I have that I noticed through this entire series was Jeffrey Dahmer, he was never insane. He wasn't crazy. He was sick.
No, at the time it was almost addictive. It was almost a surge of energy.
And I think that there is remorse for certain people who are sick. Because I don't want to use that like, oh, he had a mental illness. So, no. At some point, God even had to be like, listen, you can't come up here. I understand you got baptized, you asked for forgiveness, all that stuff at the end. But yeah, he is the face of what sick is. Like, and I'm not saying it to be funny. He is the face of what sick is. Even hear his interview back, the real one. You know, he would tell the story with, you can tell there's no soul there.
When you depersonalize another person and view them as just an object for pleasure instead of a living, breathing human being.
You could tell there's no soul there. Like, we started out with Tracy. We started out with the guy, the very, very last guy that he tried to kill. And he escaped. Ran out of the... He ran. He unlocked all 17 of those locks. And he got up through. You know what I'm saying? A big fight. But Jeffrey Dahmer was really, really trying to push. He was really... I mean, I'm talking about a regular person. Because apparently $50 was clearly enough back then to get you to go back to some dude's apartment. Whatever. He wanted to hear the guy's heartbeat. because he wanted to eat it. The fact that he told him that that dude Tracy stayed calm. You kind of got to do that. Because I was watching, I'm like, dude, just play. I'm like, play along. And when you get a chance, get him. Get your break and dart up out of there. Tracy ended up getting the cops. And it immediately kind of showed what the show was about to be about. You heard Glenda Cleveland. She was yelling about how she kept trying to call them and they don't listen to us. You know what I'm saying? That is a big thing that goes on with black people in general anyway. You know what I'm saying? We can't be heard. The fact that it highlighted in this series how many attempts she tried to make to get these police officers to do their job. Even without her, they could not do their job. Ryan Murphy and them did a good job with highlighting the fact that there were so many killings that could have never happened if the cops just did their jobs a little bit. Jeffrey Dahmer gets pulled over in a car. He smells completely like liquor. He's going way past the speed limit. He's swerving. This is what the cops told him. And you got trash bags all back there. And you gonna tell them that you up here, you do leaf work and lawn work? How would the cops just buy that? You didn't step out of the car, sir. We need to do a breathalyzer and none of that stuff. You just tell them you better go straight home. What then? Oh my God. I think the thing for me was, because I'm up here going through it, y'all. I don't have things written down. I'm just going through it. A young 14-year-old boy. This was Jeffrey Dahmer's first attempt to try to turn this kid into a zombie. Ew, that's sick. Again, this was a kid. 14 years old. He went back to the apartment, and I think he was already suspicious of everything to begin with. And long story short, Jeffrey Dahmer literally got a hold of him. He was knocked out. He was out of a code. This kid escaped. I think this is where it was starting to highlight the Glenda Cleveland stuff, because we started to see her and her, I think her daughter was out there, and they were seeing this naked kid in the streets, and he had blood on the side of his head. And the fact that the cops came and literally, Jeffrey Dahmer comes outside. He comes outside and says, "This is my boyfriend." You could see when a kid is a kid. I don't care what you say. You can see, you can look at that little boy and you can tell he was 14. You could tell he was young. He was younger than you. But no matter who it was, he's clearly out of it, blood on the side of his face, naked, and you just, you get him back? Up there, and Glenda Cleveland, them being black people, they're like, nah, hold up. What are you talking about? You doing, what are you saying? This is a kid. He said he's an adult. Come on, bro. Come on. And I think that this series highlighted perfectly how irresponsible the police were. It just highlighted how irresponsible, at least in Milwaukee, just how irresponsible they was. They literally had the opportunity to stop that right then and there, to find things out. Not to mention, when they went up to the apartment, they went in. They went in, smelt stuff that smelled bad. Boom, it's nothing. After 1978, he took a long break from killing, because he clearly went to the military, you know what I'm saying? That's when he was on a perverted level, you know, differently over there, and weird stuff in terms of trying to drug people in the military, you know what I'm saying? That's what I heard. And, you know, he got drunk and all that stuff and got discharged. Even Hicks was his first. He had thoughts about picking up a hitchhiker. He was a really, really sick guy. Impulses that he had, he didn't know why they were there. He didn't know why he was doing it, but he knew that he would. Even asked in the interview, if they let you go today, would you still have those? And he said, yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy. He was a sick person And he would have never been able to get fixed. There was no fix. There was not a bathtub. There was not a Mill Creek. There was not nothing that he could have got dipped in to get baptized that would have saved him, in my personal opinion. Like I said, at some point, God got to be like, we closed. See what they doing down there. Yeah, we full up here. That's what I'm thinking in my head. I'm like, at some point, you gotta, like, you know what I'm saying? I know God forgives, but this has got to be like, but Jeffrey, yeah, I can't do you, bro. Can't do you, bro. You did a little too much. Overall, I think the show was good, highlighting each victims. They couldn't do everybody, though. They couldn't do all 17 people because they was missing so many people. It's so much to unpack in this show. This show was chilling. It really is. It's chilling. It made you cringe a lot. But it was a great series. It kept you on your toes, on the edge of your seat. That the signs were so ignored on every occasion. The police didn't take anything serious. So to me, a lot of that blood is on their hands too. From Tony Hughes, rest in peace to Tony Hughes. You know, he was, I believe, the deaf guy. He was the guy who was, I hope I got his name right. I think it was Anthony Hughes, but he was called Tony, you know, because Anthony and Tony, you know, blah, blah, blah. It seemed like Jeffrey found somebody because, in a sense, he was looking for a lot of the same things. He was kind of alone, like the outcast, because he was deaf, you know, so he was looking for companionship and that somebody to love him too, right? Jeffrey was gonna drug him, but he didn't. It was like, okay, cool, we're getting somewhere. It's scary to me because I knew what was going to happen, the end result. But it was just like, oh, okay, well, at least he has something there. No, dude had to go to work. Jeffrey had a hammer behind him. He was going to go to work. Left his keys. And them impulses of his kicked in where he had to kill him. And I think that that's just crazy. His parents do play a major role in a lot of the stuff that has happened in his life, because when you think about all of the mental illnesses that his mother had, you know what I'm saying, she had a lot, so she wasn't there. And then his dad left, so he was really on his own. He grew up and his father showed him, you know, roadkill and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Roadkill and how to open up animals and stuff like that. And then he just, you know, you can't do that around. Okay, listen. I'm not if that's a lifestyle, that's whatever. But taking your kids to do things like that, you don't know what they'll pick up on. It's just like if you have your child surrounded by guns and cussing and all that stuff, yeah, they're gonna be more likely to do that stuff getting older. You know what I'm saying? That's what they were around. So, you know, with his dad leaving and then his mom being the way he was kind of alone. He was very, very much alone, fiending pretty much for himself. And he's left with nothing but his thoughts. And then come to find out that his dad said that he was the same way. So I'm like, oh, okay, so this is genetic. And in between some of the episodes, we were jumping back and forth. The first 3 was highlighting 3 of the victims. And I think that was Stephen Toomey, the guy that he took back to the first hotel. He took him back there, right? And he beat him to death. That's the one that he said that he didn't remember.
I have no memory of beating him to death, but I must have. And that's when it all started again.
He woke up and his chest was just caved in. So it's Tony Hicks who got away. And that first one was Stephen Hicks. That's the hitchhiker, you know, that he hit with the barbell. It highlighted those 3 first. And then it took, it was a break after that because he went off to the military. So we really didn't get to see that. It just kind of went from 78, 79, boom, 1991, because that's where majority of his killings was, you know, where they were. They was in the 90s. Got killed in 1994. Funny thing is he got saved. He got saved the same day that John Wayne Gacy got executed. That's crazy. And I love the way that they incorporated the other serial, because there was other serial killings going on at the time. And that's not even all of them. They didn't even highlight everything. They incorporated that. Was pretty dope. How he was finding God. You know, he had these fans that would send him stuff. And the irony of that is he was happy about being famous. And you look at me talking about him today. His legacy is still here. It is still here. Because it was so, like, traumatizing. It was so, like, crazy that it's still here. Here I am talking about this series and talking about him. He is still this famous person. The end result was him getting killed. What's funny to me is Jeffrey Dahmer had the same glasses on that he done killed everybody in. I don't even understand. You done got baptized and you put them glasses right back on. You're the killer again. I don't understand. But yeah, that was weird. And he got killed by a black guy. This guy killed 2 people. He killed the guy that was in there the first, because there was 3 people in there while they were doing their little chores in jail. That guy got killed in the bathroom. And the black dude literally said that God told him, you know, God ain't tell you that, bro. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I don't think you had a conversation with God and he told you to kill him. I don't think he did that. But he beat Jeffrey Dahmer with a silver pole. And I know at the end, Glenda Cleveland, she wanted to, I hope I'm saying her name right. At the end, she wanted to get a memorial, like just in that area. And I understand why they didn't do that. Because even if you look on the internet today, there's nothing there. It's grass. It's an apartment complex, but there's grass. I couldn't live nowhere by there. It's grass, but I could not live there. No way. There's no way I could live there. Yes, you want it to be a memorial, but what's gonna overshadow what if you did that? Are we gonna, or not me, because I ain't going nowhere over there. Are you gonna go there and see, oh, these are the victims that passed away? Or are you gonna automatically think, wow, this was where apartment 213 was, where he had sulfuric acid, he had drills, tools, skulls, heads, and refrigerators, arms, pieces, everything scattered, and like that's what you think of when you think of that place. You don't think of the victims, unfortunately. You think of him. And that's the unfortunate thing about this whole thing. But overall, I think an Emmy is needed to Evan Peters and Niecy Nash because they did an incredible job. Ryan Murphy and Brennan did a good job. Am I saying his name right? Ian? I'm going to just say Ian, okay? They did a good job with highlighting the stories of Glenda Cleveland, the victims, Jeffrey Dahmer's upbringing, his parents. I think they did a pretty good job with that. I hope this is the last of this, Dahmer stuff that we got to hear. We don't need to hear 25 different versions of this. I know about this guy, okay? I've seen him. I've seen him in interviews on E! News and everything. I get it. He's crazy. He's a cannibalistic, serial, psychopathic killer. I'm going to do more of these, so y'all stay tuned.